since Friday. I don't know. I lost count. Maybe it was during the field storming that I was maybe doing one or two of those. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannigan along with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. Hope you had a good weekend. LSU with a 45-20 win over Ole Miss. Certainly enjoyed the weekend. It's a great day if you're a Tiger fan. Fantastic weather. You got a win going away. Fell behind early and really turned it on. And, I'm sorry. I want to talk about the field storming thing because I've gotten hit with this 4 times since last night today. So here's my deal on the field storming, and then I'm going to quit, okay? I don't really care all that much. If you're a student and you want to go charge the field because this is your moment, I don't expect the 18 and 19-year-olds to know the history of the series between LSU and Ole Miss. I don't expect them to know that, this is the first time since 2014 that Ole Miss has been ranked this high in a game in Tiger Stadium. I don't think that they know probably that this series had some really influential games back in the 50s and 60s, but that was in the 50s and 60s. And basically the get off my lawn crowd is, you're not worthy of a field rushing, okay? Fine, okay, but they're kids and they don't know. Now, if you are a 40-year-old person and you go rush the field after really any game, you kind of need to check yourself probably. Or your alcohol intake, if nothing else. But if you're a kid, go. I'm not going to sit here and be just incredulous, like I can't believe, those kids storm the field. Believe me, the kids do plenty of stuff that the adults don't agree with. All right, they're in college, so I don't care about that. What really did kind of get me a little bit though is the fine, and I would like to ask. Probably this is a good media day question next year. What the schools, and I include all of the schools in this, in the SEC. Tennessee last week. Tennessee was a real field storming. I mean, you could not see a blade of grass from overhead. They just beat Alabama for the first time in 15 years, and everybody was, on the field fine. This was more of a student field storming thing yesterday, Saturday at Tiger Stadium, so whatever. But I want to know what the league, as they fined LSU $250,000 and they fined Tennessee last week as well, what the schools are supposed to do. To me, you get fined if you are in some way negligent. In other words, nobody ever got on the PA and said, stay off the field. They didn't put it up on the scoreboard, stay off the field. You didn't have the proper amount of security on the field, okay? If you just opened up the gates and let everybody okay, then you're enticing it. You're encouraging it. But if you've got adequate security and if you're trying to prevent it and a security force that's overwhelmed by, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 times as many people as they have overwhelms them, are they really supposed to use force to keep the students off the field? I mean, are you making it more dangerous by if you say, listen, you keep them off the field or else? What are we talking about? We're talking about horses. We're talking about dogs. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about excessive force. Come on. Have you guys ever been on the field when it was stormed?
A couple times, yeah. Ole Miss, 2014. I was there.
What was your feeling at that time?
Jubilation. I mean, that was a legitimate upset in my mind. And before that, LSU hadn't done a field storming in ever. So for me, it felt kind of good.
Let me tell you what I felt. And I was on the field for the Florida field storming, covering the game. You could go down onto the field the last 5 minutes or so of the game if you got a seat in the press box. So standard operating procedure is you go down there so you can get into the locker room so you can get your post-game interviews done. So I'm down on the field for Florida. I was down on the field for Tennessee. Let me tell you the emotion I had. Pure terror, okay? Pure, absolute terror that you are going to get. I wasn't worried about getting trampled, although there are people that has happened before, okay? I was mostly worried when the goalpost came down. It was like, who's going to get hit in the head? If you got this goalpost coming down and you have this sea of people, okay, it's terror. So, again, what can the schools do? After the first field storm, and LSU had rings of security layered around the goalpost, so the goalpost didn't come down. But the students were coming on the field, right? So I would, on the little memo part of the check that they send to the Southeastern Conference, I would send it, pay to the order of Greg Sankey, $250,000, field rushing. And then next to that, on the memo, I would put any suggestions? Because if you can keep 15,000 students off the field with 100, security people, I'm all for it. Okay, officially wasted enough time on field storming. I'm done with that. LSU won the game after falling behind 17-3. One of the big moves in this game, the defensive adjustments made by Matt House and Brian Kelly. After they got up 17-3, after Ole Miss had gotten through the script, the defensive adjustments, especially on the route switching, was one thing. And, of course, Harold Perkins being in there made a big difference as well. This was Brian Kelly on the defensive adjustments that they made.
I really would like to tell you there were a lot, but I think we just got a little bit more aggressive in talking to Matt at halftime. Sometimes we tend to cover up some things that we feel like are weaknesses, and they're not really that weak. And we just kind of said, let's go play, and probably a little bit more aggressive maybe in the second half, and just let the guys play.
And one of the guys that they let play was of course Harold Perkins.
He was good. He's active, as you saw. It's hard to get him on the field as much, but we felt like it was really important to get him out on the perimeter because he can run things down, and he's a very good pass rusher. He's an exceptional player. I think everybody knows that. But within our structure, some guys lose some playing time because of it, and some really good players lose some playing time. He's a really good player, and he impacts our defense, no doubt.
So here's the conundrum is that basically at this point, Harold Perkins and B.J. Ojulari are playing the same position. And Ojulari is really good. Right now, I don't think he's playing better than Perkins, but he's really good. He's certainly one of the guys that you want on the field. We talked about this in film study today with Gordy on the podcast, Hannycast right now. It's up. They have to have Harold Perkins on the field all the time. I understand their particular dilemma that when they bring him in the game, Ojulari's got to do something else. Or you could bring him in the game somewhere else. They didn't get both of them on the field at the same time until later in the game when Ole Miss was out in obvious passing situations and the game was getting away from them a little bit. This is Brian Kelly's biggest challenge over the next 2 weeks, is to figure out a way that Harold Perkins is on the field for every single defensive snap against Alabama. Because if he's not, they are having one of their best football players on the sideline. I understand that it creates a problem for Ojulari, so fix it. Figure out a way to get him on the field every snap that he's not absolutely exhausted or injured. He needs to be in the game, and Kelly talked about that. It's multiple clips. Lane Kiffin certainly talked about that. Jackson Dart certainly talked about that. Hey, what was the difference in the second half, 40? So they got to figure out a way to get him on the field, because I've heard this from multiple people. The quarterback for Alabama is good, Bryce Young. It's not as simple as Perkins, Mr. Perkins, meet Mr. Young. Mr. Young, meet Mr. Perkins. You got him. He's your guy for the whole day. Think of him as you're escorting him through campus, okay? You got him. Because Bryce Young at times this year has put Alabama squarely on his back. And I don't want to say won games by himself, but as close as you can get with a roster that talented to saying, man, that's the one guy they can't lose. Will Anderson is a fantastic player. If a team in the NFL with a quarterback already in place gets the number one pick in the draft, Anderson might be the number one pick in the draft. But he ain't more important to them than Bryce Young. Anyway, I digress. So the defensive adjustments were, changing on the switch routes. Obviously they got Perkins in the game, and mostly they just beat the stew out of Jackson Dart. I mean, you could tell in the second half some of these throws are errant because my man was getting hit. He was taking some punishment. And there were times where it looked like Ole Miss didn't have a real good answer for him, a good play calling sequence that he could get comfortable with. They never ran the football the way that they have all year. LSU held them to 3.1 yards per carry. So you take away somebody's most trusted weapons, and you watch them just go to pieces. There's a great quote from Tom Flores, the old Raiders coach, when they played Washington in Super Bowl 18. That was the big Raider blowout over Washington. And what they did in that game was they took away Washington's top two receivers, Art Monk and Charlie Brown. They put Lester Hayes and Michael Haynes on them, and they asked Flores about it, and he says, well, when you can don't attack somebody's weaknesses, when you can attack their strength, and you take that one thing that they know they can do, no matter what, you take that away, you break somebody's will. Oakland broke, was the Los Angeles Raiders, but the Raiders broke Washington's spirit that day, and I think LSU broke Ole Miss's spirit. You think you can run the ball on anybody? Nope, you can't. And once LSU got the lead, it started to snowball from there. So the defensive adjustments, one of the mega stories of the day for LSU's win against Ole Miss. The other ones on the offensive side, we're going to talk about that when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Well, getting ready for Halloween. It's going to be a good week at Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Tomorrow night, they've got a terrific event for the whole family. It's called Trunk or Treat. It's tailgating meets trick-or-treating. They'll have candy, prizes, and music for the kids. It's all out in the parking lot. It's a free event. It starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And then later on this week, on Saturday, this weekend, big Halloween party, a costume contest. Clarence the Entertainer will be there for the Halloween party. That is this Saturday at Big Mike's. Don't forget the restaurant is always open late after high school football games. You can bring the whole family in there. Happy hour drink prices all day on Sunday for Saints football. Big Mike's in Denham Springs on Aspen. We're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shop a style.
Oh, yeah! This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the
Week 9 in the prep football season, and we get you started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview, presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic Eye in Scotlandville kick off at 7, and that's immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care, Total Occupational Medicine, Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
They didn't have a ton of record expectations at the beginning of this year. What I wanted to see more than anything was Brian Kelly come in and establish his method of doing things, culture, we use that word probably a little bit too much, and show some improvement over the course of the season. I don't think there's any question now that we've reached a break that you can say that LSU has made dramatic improvement in pretty much every aspect of the game. Is there any aspect of the game that you don't feel as good about now for LSU that you felt after the Florida State game? And after the Florida State game, it wasn't the happiest time. But it was the first game, and it would be wonderful to say, hey, well, if they played Florida State now. Yeah, if they played Florida State now, I think LSU wins the game by multiple scores. But that was part of the, you'll excuse the word, process. But seriously, is the quarterback better? Just a little bit. Is he more comfortable? The play-action pass game now, which has caused defenses to have to back off a little bit, which has opened up some more running lanes for him. Does he look different running the football now than he did 8 weeks ago? Just a little bit. Some of that play pass stuff, some of these designed runs are so much more effective than back when he had to basically scramble around for his life. Is the offensive line better now than it was 8 weeks ago? By a ton. And they've had to reline up several times because of the injuries that they've had up front on the offensive line. That's better. Is Kayshon Boutte better right now? I mean, the first game, he looks like he'd rather be anywhere but there. And now Brian Kelly is talking about Kayshon Boutte in a leadership role for this team.
It's her up. I think he's feeling comfortable with his role and his leadership role. We've elevated his leadership role, and he's been outstanding. He grabbed me on the sideline. He said, Coach, don't forget the first things that you have to say when you go in the locker room. He's even, scripting my stuff now. I mean, I was like, oh, thanks, Kayshon. I appreciate it. I couldn't find you the first week. Now you're running the show. But that's what I love about him. He's been so engaged, so part of what we're doing, and we're better because of it. And you can see when he touches the football, he's electric. And we're here because our best players are playing their best football.
See, this is progress. The first time Brian Kelly ever mentioned Kayshon Boutte's name after the opening press conference was to say, well, I know his name. They've come from, well, I know his name, to disinterested in the first game to, hey, you know what? That guy's still here. Not only is he still here, but he's taken on a leadership role for LSU. What else in that first game? Third down. What a mess. Florida State converted 11 third downs in that first game. Ole Miss, a more highly ranked football team than Florida State was, I think a better team than Florida State is. Ole Miss and Florida State were playing this week. I'd take the Rebels. 4 out of 13 and 1 out of 2 on fourth down. You feel better about all three levels of the defense. Harold Perkins wasn't playing in the first game except on special teams. That's better. Yeah, I'd like to have Mason Smith back. I mean, but do you enjoy watching Mekhi Wingo play? I do. I love watching that guy. That guy is giving me everything he's got every play. If he's taking a play off, I haven't noticed it. The guy's 6 foot tall. If he stands up real straight, he knocked down 2 passes the other day. I mean, he's playing. You feel better about the secondary now. I mean, having Burns and Brooks and Fouché back there makes a difference, and they may get Major Burns back for the Alabama game. It's a chance that they get there. You're better on all three levels. Okay, like I said, yes, I would like to have Mason Smith back. You don't lose a player like that and not feel it a little bit. But I think as a unit overall, they're better at all three levels. That's all you can ask for. And it's not automatic. You don't get better all of a sudden. You have to coach this stuff. You have to rep this stuff. It has the players have got to buy in. All of that has happened. What about the special teams? Now, this took a while. But after the offsides on the opening kickoff, pretty clean game. Like I said, it took a while. And it took every different aspect of the special teams. All of that is better. Does this look like a team that's in pretty good physical condition? I'd say so. Look at what they're doing in fourth quarters. There have been, I would say, fewer of the nagging injuries that sometimes will plague a team. You got all of those things taken care of. And Jaden Daniels is one of the real eye-opening stories of the 2022 season. I'm talking about nationally. He started too far behind the guys that are having these monster years to get into consideration probably for All-American or All-Conference honors. But I don't know anybody that's playing any better than him the last 2 weeks, and he's got 4 more weeks to go with it. The play action passes, the designed runs, the check downs, the buy-in of the receivers. Jaden Daniels looks like he's having a ball. And at the beginning of the season, it was tough to see. We were talking about potential quarterback changes as recently as 3 weeks ago. I don't think we'll talk about that anymore. And maybe as painful as it was, the Tennessee loss, Brian Kelly said, hey, listen, you know what? We could have kept that thing a little bit closer than we did, but we were trying to win. They look like a different team since that Tennessee loss.
We weren't as far away in that Tennessee game as the score indicated. Look, I went for a lot of fourth down situations that exacerbated the score. That could have been, let's keep it close, and everybody went like, wow, they played them tough. We didn't play the game to keep it close. We played it to win it. But we didn't play very well that day. Tennessee was the better football team that day. But when we went through it again and we watched the tape and we looked at it, we felt like we were a better football team. So I know perceptually we got lit up, and rightly so. We were poor that day. I coached poorly that day, and we deserved everything that we got. But when we looked at it internally, we didn't think that we were far off, and I think we're starting to prove that.
That's candid. I mean, I still don't, agree with everything that they did in that game, and he probably, might do some things a little bit differently if given it a chance. If the game was this week, you'd feel a lot differently about LSU. Tennessee was better, and I don't have any problem admitting that. What else do you like better about this team now than you did 8 weeks ago? How about a running game? And a running game outside of the quarterback. In the first game against Florida State, Noah Cain was your leading rusher outside of the quarterback. He had 23 yards, averaged 3 yards a carry. Armani Goodwin had 14 yards in that game. Josh Williams had 1 carry in that game. Now you fast forward to this game. You played the number 1 rushing team in the Southeastern Conference, and you rushed for 252 yards. You better than doubled what Ole Miss was doing. And Josh Williams has become a very important, integral part of this offense. And they got Goodwin back, who gave them a little bit of burst. Listen, I'm ready to ride with those two guys because it's they're not going to be able to count on John Emery. That ship has sailed. I think these two guys are ready to take the lead. Okay, that works out pretty good too. There's nothing about this team that I don't like better now than I did 8 weeks ago for sure, and most of this stuff 4 weeks ago. If there would be one point of emphasis, it would be to start a little bit faster. Now, don't get me wrong. Given my choice of having a stronger team in the fourth quarter or the first quarter, I'll take the fourth quarter every time. But that would be like the last thing that they really need to upgrade is, stop putting yourself in these big holes.
I knew the DNA in the team from the very beginning. You go back all the way to Florida State where we were down, and we fought all the way back in that game. And, obviously we didn't execute an extra point, but that team was poised to win that game. So I kind of knew what we were about, in that very first game that we played. And it's been who they are from the very, very first time that I stepped on this campus with this team, is that they had fight in them. Now, all the other things, consistency, execution, doing the little things on a day-to-day basis, that's coming. And I've said this on a number of occasions. We can't just rely on just being great fighters, and we're not anymore. We're executing at a high level. We're exerting our will. Our best players are now starting to play their best football, and they're playing, quite frankly, with a lot of confidence right now, and that's a pretty good thing.
The other thing about this that feels really good, I think, if you're an LSU fan, is all of this feels sustainable. They're not doing any of this stuff with smoke and mirrors. They're not catching a bunch of lucky breaks. They're not riding one player into a string of upsets, or they're not riding one particular strength on the team is carrying them and there's holes everywhere else. It's why I'm talking about every single level of the football team looks better than it did. And that's indicative of a very strong coaching job. LSU is in first place in the SEC West going into November. And that is, if I had suggested that when we were doing the post-game show after Florida State down in New Orleans, then I would have been subjected to random drug testing upon my return to Guarantee here in Baton Rouge. But that's exactly what has happened. The Alabama game went from one that was just an automatic L on the schedule. Admit it, okay? If you're honest with yourself, say, when you looked at the schedule before, I said, look, I know for sure they're going to beat New Mexico, they're going to beat Southern, they're going to beat UAB, and they're going to lose to Alabama. Now, the other 8 games we can talk about, but those 4 games I know. Now you don't know. LSU has the opportunity to pull an upset. They're still a big underdog. They'll still be a double-digit underdog in this game. I think that the point spread that Jimmy had given us on the post-game show on Saturday night was that the game will likely open somewhere around 14. The money will move it wherever it moves it. My guess is that if it opens right at 14, the money will probably bring it down under that key number. But we'll see about that next week. All of a sudden, it's going from a game where no, they got no shot to win that thing to there's a real opportunity. Been a fun season. Been an interesting season. It's had a lot of different turns to it, but it very much feels like that the program is in really, really solid shape right now, and all of this stuff is sustainable. We'll take a break, come back, talk about the rest of the weekend in college and pro football. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Well, when you're going out tailgating, listen, we got word, Alabama game is at 6 o'clock on ESPN, so it will be a night game. You're going out tailgating, maybe a hopping day on campus, I'm just guessing. Make it with Supreme Rice. Gumbo weather, hey, we're getting into November. Make it with Supreme Rice. Your jambalayas, your stews, your red beans. Make it with Supreme Rice, whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. You're going to stretch your food dollar, and you're going to be supporting our Louisiana farmers at the same time. Not too early to start planning your tailgates for the next LSU game against Alabama, so do that with Supreme Rice. Easy to get, all your AG food stores, and you can stop at Rouse's. We'll be doing the pregame there starting at 1 o'clock for LSU and Alabama. Stop in just right down the road from campus and pick up your Supreme Rice. For more information and some unique recipes, go to supremerice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only...
Join us Monday for Hunt and Hill reacting to Brian Kelly's press conference, Tigers and Revs, and we'll talk a little Saints, I guess. Hunt and Hill, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you have 6 points in the game, you got a gimme field goal. Shouldn't you take it? Asking for a friend. Asking for a Dolphins fan for a friend. Hey, look, worked out. Steelers plus 7.5, but I don't know. 2 scores seemed like a lot in that game. I might have taken the short field goal, but that's me. The NFL had a lot of predictable results yesterday. For instance, PJ Walker would have a better day than Tom Brady, right? I mean, we all had that. We had Taylor Heineke over Aaron Rodgers, right? We all had that. Joe Burrow yesterday might have had his best day as a pro, and he's had a bunch of good ones. He threw for just under 500 yards and 3 touchdowns, also ran one in. Read this stat this morning. He got 25 of his 42 passes off in less than 2.5 seconds. There's a good way to stop from getting sacked. Just get rid of the ball as fast as you can. It worked out pretty well for him yesterday. So around the league, there wasn't a ton of what surprises or anything like that. Alabama's big win against Mississippi State. They have owned that series. The 3-year count for Saban against Leach, 120-15. I think Saban's got a good handle on how to defend the air raid. That's just me. A&M is now 3-4. I'm going to leave most of this for the show behind me because they are just absolutely relishing the fact that A&M is in the tank. As a matter of fact, it influenced a big programming decision this weekend. We're going to have the A&M Ole Miss game here on ESPN Radio. That was a direct request from Hunt Palmer because he figures that somebody's got to lose in that game, and well, that's a good thing for him. So it's directly affecting programming around here. By the way, if you're wondering where the press conference is, they don't do them during the off week, so they never have. So that's why we're on at regular time today. A&M is 3-4, 1-3 in the league. Now, bad as that sounds, let me run a few more by you on just how bad. I said I'm going to leave most of it for Hunt and Hill, but not all of it because I do want to get to this. Jimbo Fisher, offensive coach, right? I mean, and I thought Jimbo Fisher was a good coach when he was here. Thought he was a good coach at Florida State. I still think he's a good coach, but I'm starting to have my doubts about – he's certainly not $86 million worth of good. Right now, you got to say Jimbo Fisher's doing a lousy job. They're second to last in total offense in the Southeastern Conference. It puts you 1.7 yards per game ahead of Vanderbilt. Paying you top dollar, and you are 1.7 yards better than Vanderbilt. And you are dead last in scoring in the league. You're half a point a game behind Auburn, and I'm not even sure Auburn's trying anymore. You're 5 points behind Vanderbilt. You're being outscored by 5 points by Vanderbilt. Okay? Tough go for Jimbo. And as bad as 3-4 is, think about it this way. Let's look at their wins. All right? The Sam Houston game was a rental win. They beat Miami, a bad Miami team. Okay? Let's not talk about, the quarterback struggling or the quarterback got hurt. Bad, poorly coached Miami team. They turned the ball over 8 times Saturday. You know how hard it is to turn the ball over 8 times in a game? Hadn't happened in 15 years. Van Dyke turned it over once, got hurt, took him out the game. Backup quarterback turned it over 5 times. Yuck. That's one of A&M's wins. And if Miami doesn't muff a punt in that game, they might have won. And in the other game, you won because you were playing it in a professional stadium and the uprights are taller than they would be in a college stadium. They play Arkansas in a college stadium, even with Arkansas's big gaff to, have that 90-yard, 95-yard return for a touchdown. Arkansas wins the game anyway if you just got regular-sized goalposts. You are an eyelash away from being 1-6 if you're A&M. Sucks for them. So I think Clemson's going to the playoff, but are they going to go with a quarterback that is playing with a lot of confidence? DJ Uiagalelei had been having a much better season. He had improved an awful lot. They got in that game on Saturday, and he made a play that was very similar to one we just talked about between Arkansas and A&M. Clemson is going in. They are, at that point, they look like the better team than Syracuse, and instead of punching it in there, they fumble on the mesh point. Syracuse goes the other way, and all of a sudden, we got a ball game. Now, Klubnik, the quarterback that came in, Cade Klubnik, who was the number 1 quarterback in the country when they recruited him, didn't do anything special when he went in. Now, they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, but the quarterback didn't have a ton to do with that. He only completed a couple of passes. He made a couple of runs, but mostly what happened was Syracuse imploded. They had multiple late hit penalties that extended some drives, and Clemson was able to get home. There's nothing left on Clemson's schedule that suggests that they should get beat. Their toughest game remaining is at Notre Dame, which I think they probably win that one. But I don't know if they've got a real confident quarterback right now. The first thing that Dabo said when he got in the locker room in the press conference was, "No, DJ's still our starter." Okay, but you just had to yank him out of the game, and you had to have a 17-point lead comeback in the fourth quarter to win that thing. So if Clemson gets into the playoff, I don't know how good they are, but I can't see they play Miami, they play Louisville. There's just not a game that I see that they are likely to lose. I guess they could lose at Notre Dame, but I certainly wouldn't count on that. One of the best games of the weekend was TCU and Kansas State. We thought it'd be a great game going in, and it turned out to be. Kansas State had a 28-10 lead with about a minute to go to the first half. Now, if you had Kansas State at that point, you had to feel pretty good. I know I did. Kansas State, you got an 18-point lead. You're catching 3.5. And so in my head, I'm like, well, we picked that game. We picked Kansas State. And at this point to lose, TCU's got to score at least 4 times, provided they don't go for 2 every time. They got to score 4 times, and Kansas State can't score at all. Pretty good. Know what happened? They scored 5 more times, and Kansas State didn't score at all. Max Duggan, probably one of the better quarterbacks, is not getting a lot of national attention, or not as much national attention as maybe he deserves. He's probably, I would say right now, having one of the top 5 or 6 seasons among quarterbacks. And this has been a good year for quarterbacks. I mean, Hendon Hooker's having a great year. C.J. Stroud's having a great year. Bryce Young is having a great year. Jalen Daniels at Kansas was having a great year before he got hurt. And certainly, Jaden Daniels is, come on here in the last couple of weeks. We watched out in the Pac-12. UCLA's defense stinks. You know how I know this? Bo Nix threw 5 touchdown passes. 5 touchdown passes for Bo Nix. So, when that happens, that you got some defensive problems. Those were some of the games that I thought were among the more interesting over the college football weekend. We are 1 week away from the first playoff rankings, and right now, I think you've got some questions up at the top among some of the leaders. Georgia and Tennessee is going to tell us a lot. Obviously, Ohio State and Michigan later on is going to sort one of those things out. And Clemson, they've got an invitation. And after that, I don't think that TCU runs the table. There's not a sure loss on their schedule, but none of them are givey wins either. They play West Virginia on the road. They got Texas Tech at home. They go to Texas and to Baylor. That's probably where they get tripped up. Back-to-back road games for Texas, at Texas and at Baylor. And then they play Iowa State. Like I said, none of those games are completely unwinnable, but none of them are a gimme either. So that's what it looks like up at the top. And if you get a one-loss team in, is it going to be Alabama? Oregon certainly looked really, really good the other night. USC and Oklahoma State are still sitting there. So this is going to be a lot of fun the rest of the way this college football season. We'll take a break. Take some of your questions when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity. We talk about the difference that the certified pre-owned program makes for you when you go in to purchase a vehicle. It's what I've done the last several times that I've bought vehicles, because it comes with up to 6 years unlimited mileage warranties, a complimentary first-year basic maintenance package, free 3-month trial subscription to Sirius Satellite Radio, emergency roadside assistance, which is really key if you have younger drivers or older drivers. Make sure that they've got that roadside assistance. My favorite, the complimentary service courtesy vehicle. If you're bringing your vehicle in for maintenance, you don't have to stay and wait for it. You don't have to stop what you're doing in the middle of your day. You don't have to arrange for transportation. You have that courtesy vehicle working for you. Transparency in pricing and family-owned buying. The buying experience is going to be a good one for you at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at Running Boards Marketing.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap LSU Ole Miss. We'll chat with Cole Kublik and what we learned from the weekend in college football. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Questions in the chat. Some people saying that they've seen an offshore a line somewhere at Alabama 16.5. I haven't seen one out of the major books yet, but if you can get a line from somewhere else at 16.5, I think it's going to probably settle in somewhere close to 2 touchdowns. But we'll see. We got quite a bit of time before that game. But if you're finding 16.5 somewhere, LSU's probably not a bad. Not a bad bet. Go ahead and take your shot. Ask Hanny, isn't it so satisfying when the people on Twitter understand exactly what you were trying to say? Yeah, it is. It just happens so infrequently that it's a little bit discouraging sometimes. Brad says, ask Hanny, do you think Nick Saban should have suspended Jermaine Burton on Saturday? Yes, of course. The guy hit a woman, okay? You don't get to hit a woman and there not be some kind of consequences. Here's my problem with how Saban handled this. First of all, yes, of course, there should have been more discipline than what Burton got. Here, Saban loves to bully the media when things aren't exactly to his liking. So I don't know how the question was phrased or whatever. I just saw the soundbite where he said, look, I didn't think it went to the level of a suspension. There's a lot of things that you guys don't know, and I'm not going to tell you, but I didn't think that it did. Okay, well then there's nothing that aggravates me more than when coaches say that. You guys don't know the whole story. Tell us the story. We can understand, okay? Give us your side of the story. When you say you don't know the whole story and I'm not going to tell you, well then left to our own devices, we're just going to go watch the film. We're going to watch him hit this woman and say, you know what? Barring something that we don't understand here or see, we're going to go off that piece of video. What do you have to add, Mr. Saban? Please. Was he in any kind of threat? When I said that I was terrified when the field got rushed, it wasn't because I felt like anybody was going to physically harm me or that I would even get caught up. I was worried about the goalpost falling down and hitting somebody, okay? So if he hits a woman trying to get out of the way of a falling goalpost, then, might be able to say, well, that was an accident. Didn't look like an accident. So don't tell me that you don't know the whole story and I'm not going to tell you, because at that point, I just assume you're lying. So yes, absolutely, he should have been. Ask Hanny, can LSU beat Alabama with atrocious special teams play? No, they can't beat Alabama if they have atrocious special teams play. Thing is, they didn't have atrocious special teams play this past Saturday. It was the first time, but that was, again, a step in the right direction. They were not capable of playing a clean special teams game until, and I'm talking about against the Power 5 teams, until this week. This was the first. I know they had offside on the opening kickoff, but given some of the disaster plays that they've had in the other games, offsides on the kickoff is a rare, fairly insignificant thing. So no, but they can't go and get a kick blocked or bust a coverage and have somebody you return 180 yards on them. No, you do that, you're playing right in Alabama's hands. Ask Hanny, do you hate the bye before Bama now? I've gotten used to this. This is where the bye has been for better than a decade now, I think. I like it. I know that LSU does it because of Alabama, but I think it also falls in the perfect spot in the schedule. I think that it used to be 7 weeks, but now most teams are going 8 weeks. You never want to have – I don't want a September bye and I don't want a November bye. You could back this thing up 2 weeks and put it right in the middle, but I kind of like where it is. It gives you that rest right before you go into the stretch drive. So it's not – it's a little bit about Alabama. It's not really about Alabama this year, but it's more about where it is on the schedule. Now, I'll hear the argument the other way that, man, LSU's playing their best football of the season, keep playing. I understand that, but I think that from what I know of the schedule that they keep over there, a break at this point is welcome for the players and the coaches. And look, man, when you're doing that 7 days a week for 8 weeks, you need some spot to clear your mind a little bit. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it being there, but it's as much about the spot in the schedule as it is about Alabama. So those are some of my thoughts from the past weekend. You guys have been spending the whole day over there talking about Patriots and Bears. So you got the game tonight. Belichick can pass George Halas tonight. No Mac Jones. Mac Jones, they're saying game time decision, but it looks like Bailey Zappi again. Mario, is that right?
Yeah. Like you just said, Matt Jones is going to be a game time decision, but assuming he cannot go, it will be Bailey Zappi. I've been kind of fond of Bailey Zappi since his college days at WKU, so I'm going to continue to ride that train if he does indeed start, and I would take the Patriots.
Well, let's see how big of a Bailey Zappi fan you are. Where did he transfer to Western Kentucky from?
I want to say Houston Baptist.
Very good. Absolutely. Yeah.
Where'd you get that info, man? What a guy.
Internet, man. Endless.
We had, on Jimmy's show, we had Paul Stone last summer, okay, right before Zappi got to Western Kentucky. And Stone put us on it. He's like, there's this kid, Bailey Zappi, who's put up these unbelievable numbers at Houston Baptist, and he's going to Western Kentucky, and he's really got a chance to have a great year. Well, yeah, he threw 2 more touchdown passes than Joe Burrow did. So I would say he had a great year, 62 touchdown passes. He's having even Belichick seems to like him. Belichick doesn't like anybody.
He's good. And Hanny, the first game Southeastern let me do sideline reporting for our student broadcast.
Yeah.
We were playing Houston Baptist, and Zappi was the QB, and he threw for like 550 against Southeastern's defense. He was incredible.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. And I mean, rookie quarterback for Belichick. I mean, this is it's a hard spot, right, to get into and excel. I mean, nothing makes him happy, and he looks like he's been pretty happy with what Bailey Zappi has done. Bears really should have won the game with the Commanders, and they've had a little time to think about that. Tricky line, 8.5. It seems like a bunch, but New England the better team. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Taylor and Mario, I'm Charles Henniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt and Hill. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny time.
Man, you have any problems with staffing? Yeah, you probably are. You got to do interviews. You got to do background checks, payroll expenses. Look, it would be fantastic if somebody would staff your business so you can get back to work. Tiger Labor and Staffing, they'll take care of all your screening, all your training, all your payroll, all your employment expenses so you can focus on your business's goals. Look, you ever had one of those days where you scheduled 6 interviews and only had 2 or 3 people show up? Tiger Labor and Staffing will help make sure there's no more no call, no show. Tiger Labor and Staffing will handle the interview process and the onboarding. So you need somebody for a day, a week, a month. You control all the labor expenses and increase your flexibility. You can even do it during your peak seasons if you need some seasonal employees. You lower your employment risk with a temp to hire option of only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. Tiger Labor and Staffing, welcoming skilled and unskilled labor. They'll match you with a job that fits, and they've got quick turnaround on pay. So get your work done without the worries. Tiger Labor and Staffing. Success begins with the eye of the tiger.